Only one Kenobi here. Hello there. So, in this video, I thought it would be really nice to talk about the Black Series, the orange card line, 3 3/4 inch. You know, I talk about it a lot anyway in my channel. I always end up going back to this line of figures. Because what it is when it first came out, it replaced the vintage collection in 2013, you see. But, you know, at the time, I remember seeing it in the shops, seeing that packaging, and I thought to myself, you know, it's just the new packaging for the new line of figures, I thought. You know, every year they have a new line, Saga Collection, Legacy Collection, Saga Legends, whatever. So the vintage collection was out between 2010 and 2012, and then that came in and I thought, well, it's just the new thing. I didn't know that they had replaced the vintage collection with this line. And what pains us even more in retrospect is a load of the characters would have been great on a vintage card. So I was actually going to just do a top 10 or top 5 figures that should have been in the vintage collection. It actually all started by the fact that I was thinking about the expanded universe recently, and there were 2 figures in this line in particular. There was Mara Jade and there was Darth Plagueis the Wise. Both of them should have been on a vintage card. But anyway, I went onto JediBusiness.com, and that's an archive website if you're not familiar, and I just looked at the whole line and I thought, you know what, I'm going to make a whole video about it, but I'm going to do it in 2 parts because there's a lot of characters. There's 31 card backs in the orange part anyway. So join me, let's go through it, huh? Let's have a look here. So I've got some pictures that I've been putting together for this video. Just bear with me, I'm sort of doing this live as usual. But you know, great figures that should have been on a vintage card. It all starts with Padme Amidala. Padme Amidala wearing her white outfit, which was a really good throwback to The Empire Strikes Back. What I and a lot of collectors would prefer would be a Leia Bespin Escape. That would be brilliant. But, you know, this would have been a great card back for Natalie Portman, you know. Padme Amidala. The only other card for her in the entire vintage... Oh, actually, no, there's a Queen Amidala for the Phantom Menace. The only other card is that one of hers in the peasant disguise for Attack of the Clones. So it would have been a lot more interesting to see her in her white gear. She looks great in that scene. Whole sequence. The next one is the Clone Trooper Sergeant. This one I would say is not as important because you already have a Clone Trooper. You have the Clone Trooper Lieutenant. The Sergeant, I just can't really think about what the card back would be. Would it be another mocked up one, a bit like the ARC Trooper Commander was, and the 109? I think it's VC 109. Because you certainly don't see an olive green one. You see a red one in the Attack of the Clones. And you also see a blue one, I think. Yeah, and you definitely see the yellow one, the Commander. In fact, actually, since we're on the subject, I would prefer a Clone Trooper Commander. Imagine, oh yeah, that would be awesome. Moving on, Anakin Skywalker. Like with Padme, you really, or I really, I'm talking for myself here, but I'm sure that a lot agree. The peasant disguise card is good and all, except it's very photoshopped if you look closely. What you really need is a definitive card for just straightforward Padawan Anakin. There were 2 versions of this figure, by the way. The second one was better, with a lighter brown hair. Much better figure, better facial sculpt, just on a technical level I'm talking there. In terms of having the figure on a card back, definitely should have been in the vintage collection. That would have been awesome. Number 4, Big Starlighter. Star Wars version. I mean, God almighty, this is the one figure in the whole thing that should definitely have been on the vintage card back. The whole thing about this Black Series orange line is it really does distress me and pain me to think that there were so many good characters in here that would have been good on vintage cards. He is one of them. He's right at the top of the list. If I was doing the top 5, he would be in there. I've got a good custom from, I gave it away actually in a giveaway. It was from Blizzard Force Customs, so check him out. He does good customs, but we shouldn't be knocking on the door of customizers. They're doing a good job, but Hasbro really should be all over it and doing it. Anyway, I'm waffling on as opposed to getting through the list. So number 5, we now do have a Luke Skywalker ceremonial outfit. Well done, Hasbro, you gave us that. However, the actual card back is questionable. The image on it is really fuzzy. And it's quite strange, really, considering all the customizers for years have been making brilliant card backs that have made everyone's mouths drool. But this one is a bit funny. The only explanation I can think is that the Han Solo Yavin was fuzzy and weird, so maybe they I don't know. It's bizarre. Maybe they wanted to do it for Luke as well. Moving hastily on. What have we got next? Number 6 is Vader. What we don't want is another Vader on that kind of VC08 card back again. We've had it so many times. Or is it VC09? No, it's VC08. What we could have had, though, considering this actual figure from the Black Series, it's really good as well, actually, this figure loose. If you want a Vader, get this one. The actual figure is mocked up to look, well, done in the style of how he was in the dining room, you know, that conference room scene. We would be honoured if you would join us, that scene. You could either replicate the card back to reflect that scene, or, you know, you could just give us an alternative card back for Vader for Empire. Just like, you know, you got that Tidarium hanger image for Vader for Return of the Jedi. They could give us a card back like this, for example, which is, to be honest, that has to be the definitive image of Vader stretching out his arm to Luke. It's a publicity shot or whatever, or just an image snatched at the time by a photographer or whoever, I don't know. But imagine that on a vintage card. And it has to be Vader's best scene anyway, the most powerful scene when he and Luke have that dialogue. Number 7, Biker Scout. Now, got to be done on the original card, hasn't it? Now, the funny thing about that is, you've got... why not? Hey, I know the figure's the same, but who cares? They had... Some of you might think, well, we don't need the Biker Scout again. We had it in the Vintage Saga or whatever. But the thing is that they could just... bring it out again, you know, why not? Instead of stupid orange packaging, have it on the vintage card packaging, so you've got a couple of variants. They did that with Han, funnily enough. Han came out in the Vintage Saga on the Andor card, so this Biker Scout here could also have been like another release of the Biker Scout card back, but it didn't happen. Clone Pilot. Don't know what they could do. They could either mock it up, use a publicity shot, or something a bit like Oddball. I don't really like that Oddball card, to be honest. It's a bit weird. But I like the Clone Trooper pilot's armour, certainly that Phase 1 style. The only other shot you see of him in the film is when he's looking over his shoulder, you know, we're out of rockets, sir. But that could maybe make a good card, I don't know. There's definitely been customizers out there who've played around with that one. R2-D2 number 9. Now, if they hadn't... it's an interesting one, this one. They have now given us my favourite R2 card back in the world in the vintage collection. So hats off and love and respect Hasbro for doing that for me and for a lot of people. But previously, if they hadn't have done that, and this part of the video, I would be screaming and shouting, come on Hasbro, do it, bring out that card back. But they've done it now. This R2-D2 here, I know it says Attack of the Clones there, and because he's got the rocket packs on the side of him, which is like what he does in Attack of the Clones. But if you think about the 40th anniversary R2-D2, which was the 6-inch version of R2, he got brought out on the classic New Hope card. So they could have done with this one here, number 9, because at the end of the day, he would have those rocket packs on him all the time unless they'd been stolen, you know what I mean? He is R2-D2, he has rocket packs, you just only see him using them in Attack of the Clones. However, they could possibly do it on an Attack of the Clones card specific, you know, that shot of him flying, like in the trailer, you see that snippet of him. But, you know, it wouldn't really be a priority for me to see that card back. Pablo Jill, I beg your pardon. That would be interesting. More Jedis, a bit like that guy, that Nikto guy. He's pretty cool. That would be nice to see some more Jedis, because the only other Jedis you see are Kit Fisto, Mace Windu, and Barriss Offee, which brings me to this character, Luminara Unduli. She would be brilliant on a vintage card because, again, we don't have that many Jedis, and you see a ton of Jedis in Attack of the Clones. So I would love them to bring out Luminara. I would love them to even bring out Shakti, even though she has a bit more of a significant role in Revenge of the Sith, albeit in the deleted scene. So maybe, you know, maybe not so for that one. Clone Trooper Commander, I beg your pardon, the 41st Elite Corps Clone Trooper. He is out, ladies and gentlemen. They brought him out, but the only gripe with that is that they didn't do anything about that oversized helmet. But the thing is that he is out. As you can see here, he came out twice in the Black Series because they had to do it again or something because they got the paintwork wrong. I do believe that they've done the paintwork even more so now in the Vintage Collection one. They've updated it, so it's now third time lucky. It's all accurate now. 13, Stormtrooper. Man, they could bring out Stormtroopers till the cows come home, in my opinion. I know the Fly Guy will agree with that one. I want another Stormtrooper in the Vintage Collection, but I definitely want it on a Star Wars chase. That has not been done yet. Only well, in the modern era, I beg your pardon. The only time they did it in the modern era, it was for George Lucas when he was in the bubble in the Stormtrooper disguise. But if they were to bring out another Stormtrooper, please don't let it be this one, because they have updated this figure somewhat massively. In fact, this Stormtrooper is passé. So yeah, this one I think they could do with bringing out again, but on Star Wars Chase. That's right, the one from Rogue One. Brilliant Stormtrooper, definitive. Mara Jade. So this is the character that really got me thinking about this whole line again. Mara Jade, man, just imagine if they put her in a vintage card. It would be so good. We only have 7 Expanded Universe cards. I know the Expanded Universe is gone, but just makes me feel a little bit sad to see that she got put on a crappy no-frills card like this. She totally deserved... Well, not specifically her. I don't really know much about Mara Jade other than she's partnered with Luke Skywalker. But I just think that any character like that, you know, just more than 7 cards would have been nice for that line of figures. But I don't know what are the rules on Expanded Universe now. I know that Jason Solo's sister, whoever that pilot girl, I'm sure that was in the Black Series, did she have Expanded Universe on the card or not? I can't remember. She might have, you know. So I don't know. Legends, whatever. Not so fussed on that. I think that they could... It would be nice if they could make more card backs for that. But certainly Mara Jade, there's a missed opportunity there. And let's finish now on Meru Meru. The thing about Meru Meru, I found a few good images of Meru Meru. I never quite realised who he was. I thought that the guy who was leading the Wookiees out was the same guy who was talking with Yoda and, you know, Commander Gree in the top, the command centre or whatever. He just looked like a chief and he was like quite tribal looking. But no, they're 2 different characters. Meru Meru is the guy who is leading the pack going... I love that bit when they step out, the Wookiees. It's pretty cool. I thought to myself, maybe it's too far away to make a card out of him because they've got to zoom in. But then again, on vintage cards in the past, going back to the 80s, they have cropped and manipulated the images, zoomed in, and characters have looked really fuzzy. My top example there would be Bom Vim Dim, because he's so far in the background. The actual card image looks quite grainy and imagey, but fuzzy. But that's part of the charm of it, you know. That's total nod and hark back to the 80s and 70s. But Meru Meru, not too bad. I found this image on Google. I'm sure somebody can clean that up. You could just about kind of pull in just close enough so he's, you know, a decent distance for a photograph there. And I'm going to stop there. I'm going to stop there, ladies and gentlemen. Join me for part 2. I'm going to go through the rest. I'm going to find some good images for you. But now, over to you. Have you got any thoughts on these figures? Which of those first 15 there would you put on a vintage card above the others? You know, what would be your top 5, for example? And then let me know. Thank you very much. Thank you for stopping by. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you've listened to the end, hit the like button, share, subscribe, and all of that jazz. This has been Only One Kenobi. Only One. Out.